Scott Faughn, the host of the show. Got a big, hopefully, we're going to have an ag panel. It's going to be awesome for you Sunday. Hopefully, we'll tape it here from our Jeff City studios. I'm not sure yet, Kelton. I think we're in for that.
I can make it work.
Love that. Love that. Interesting week in politics. We're gonna do some. We're gonna do an exercise here on the show. All your questions have been about Dean Blocker. Sometimes I ask for questions. I'll get like, 4 or 5 like just smart ass, ones where it says, "Oh, I'm a liberal. Let me do something," or "I'm a right winger and you're not a right winger. I'll piss on you." And then I'll usually get, there's always a dominant story. I'll usually get another half dozen questions. 4 or 5 of them will be about one thing, and 1 or 2 or 3 about something else. This time it was I got the 4 or 5 like, Donald Trump won the election or some, that kind of crap. And then I would get these were all about this story that was in the Independent. Let's just start off the top. I got the first 2 questions were dog the Independent. Don't dog the Independent. I don't get your point there, right? I mean, I'll give you my perspective. These are journalists. The people that work at the Independent are very, very liberal. They wrote a very liberal point of view for the news, for the Star, the Columbia Tribune. They're very caustic to people that are conservative, and that's what That's kind of how they've built their brand, right? Most journalists. Here's just the true the bare bones. Most journalists are more creative types. They are more liberal, Democrats, whatever you want to call it. Most Republicans, most engineers are more logic based and less artistic. And therefore, it's not a coincidence. They're more Republican, just the way it goes. I don't think that's a secret to anybody. If you ever have had a survey of college professors and journalists, they're liberal. If you ever do a survey of engineers, or what's another group that's maybe not the most artistic, Kelton?
I don't know, construction workers?
Construction guys would be, go ask even the labor guys now. They like them some Trump, the Republican. So the Independent's a group that's a lot of liberal national groups. If you look at like Crystal Quaid, the money she's raising to run for governor is generally from Washington, from Boca Raton, Florida, from San Francisco. Democrat Party is it's like they would run the government, highly centralized in the coast in Washington. They filter the money down. And one of the things that the liberal interest groups do to help their candidates is fund groups like State House News, and which is the people that pay for the Independent. It's SEIU. It's a lot of very elite liberal donors, and they want content put out that fits their worldview. It fits their worldview on transgenders or lesbian, gay rights or abortion rights, or they want gun control. I mean, the general things a liberal would do. Now, you might say, well, that's wrong. And I'm like, well, here's the thing. Are they a little sanctimonious? Because it is a dark money group. You don't really know who all funds them. They do their best to conceal it. They don't list all their donors. It is what it is. But I kind of don't. Here's the difference. Your average journalist does not lie. They do not make up facts that are untrue. Take Rudy Keller, very liberal journalist, but he's got a lot of institutional knowledge about the state. I find him to be a pretty good writer personally, but I've enjoyed many Rudy Keller stories. Rudy is very liberal and very much has a chip on his shoulder if you're a Republican. But the truth is, I don't know that he just makes up quotes. I don't think he does, honestly. I think he gives you a liberal version of events, but they are the events. Their truth is real. There is real life that is truth. There's real life that's not true, and that's what they give you. So complain about the Independent, whatever. That screwball press corps thing is so stupid. There was a group that did this. Republicans did the same thing as the Independent ones. It was called the Missouri News Horizon, and those liberals in that press corps ran those, just harassed them. Like with me, they had a vote to not have me. I would have voted yes. I didn't want to be with them. It is the funniest thing. Now on all their websites, they have like sponsored content. You can pay the Post Dispatch to give you a puff interview. It is what it is. It's the state of journalism. It's not like they're doing something far more egregious than other struggling urban papers. But the Independent is what it is. It's a way to produce content from a Democrat Party view. But I don't believe they lie. I don't believe they make stuff up. This is just their view. So to them, when you have a rising star, which Dean Plocker is, I mean, Dean Plocker's 50. Looks like, if I told you Dean Plocker was 38, you'd be like, Good looking guy, right? Would you guess Dean Plugger's over 50 ever?
He certainly doesn't look over 50.
No. He got a great smile, can raise money. Just the kind of thing they're here to do, to tear this guy down. And again, I actually think, I mean, most journalists' real bias is toward news or screwing somebody over, taking them out. I think if they had a chance to run this story, it would look different. It's like when the Post-Dispatch runs a story about Andrew Bailey, right? They always put this picture of him going, yeah. It's beyond funny. It's the real way you show bias, right? Is that kind of stuff. Was it? I don't read a lot of the stories they write about him. I can pretty well. You tell me the piece of news, I can tell you what's in that story before they write it, and they can too. Dave Portnoy. If you want to know what to do about this, if you're in office, Dave Portnoy. The Washington Post is going to write a hit piece on him. Somehow, I guess they hate him because he interviewed Trump. Is that why they hate him?
I don't even know who that is.
Barstool Sports?
Oh, no, I don't watch them.
You never heard of Barstool Sports?
I heard of him.
Yeah, the guy that eats the pizza, one bite, everybody knows the rules. That guy. He calls up he kind of did what I did to Suntrip. This person's calling all over town, emailing his sponsors, saying misogynist quotes or something, or whatever it is, or whatever the hit of the isms he's done that he is now, because he's not a liberal. God, if you're not a liberal anymore, you're like 8 isms automatically, right? I mean, it's just beyond stupid. So Portnoy calls a reporter and just puts him on blast, and she's like, "Oh, wait a minute, let me get my ducks in a row and talk to him." He's like, "Well, let's talk now." And he's like, straight up, he said, by the way, I'm recording you," which is, I will say this, Dave, I'm disappointed that you did that. When I called Suntrip, I live streamed it, because if Suntrip would have got the jump on me, right, and embarrassed me, there you go. That's the breaks, kid. Shooters got to shoot. I've been taken down before. But if you record it, then you don't play it if it's not a resounding win. I kind of is a little cowardly, right? I mean, Kelton, if I'm going to put you on blast, I think a live stream, that way, if I look bad, I look bad, right?
You just got to do it live.
You got to have balls and bring heat. So anyway, Portnoy, that's what Dean Plugger should have done here, really. Instead, he got bad advice, and he kind of tried to do the Republican thing where he thinks he could explain the story. Big mistake. This story was written before they talked to Dean. No value to Dean talk. Let me just help you out. No value in talking to the reporter on that. This story was all done, the whole 9 yards. None of it mattered. Your quiz quotes were worthless. They just made the story more valuable. So that's where you should write down your first point is, if you're not smart enough knowing it's a hit piece, problems, you need better staff. And if there's a hit piece written, don't talk to them. Make your own statement. Like that, I just don't understand. So going through here, I'll tell you what happened. Dana Rodman Miller. Right now, I knew her. Dana Rodman Miller was one of the funnest, coolest people to ever be around. She just is one of the people that just got it. She knows her. She knew her stuff. I don't know her as well now. I just always been a big fan of hers. I've just always thought whatever she was working on usually is done competently. So here's the thing. The Speaker of the House wanted a new constituent contact program. If you're in sales, you probably have some way to manage your sales contacts, right? Well, it's essentially if you call up and say, I need Medicaid and I'm pissed, or I need a pothole fixed on Interstate, 55, call your state rep, they get on it. They have some system now. It's free. Now, this system was going to cost a little bit of money, maybe even, I guess per member, it was going to cost like $3,000 or something. So that does become a little bit of money, or a good chunk of money. Dean wanted to look into this. Now, here's the thing. This is where the story is funny. What in the world would be wrong with the head of the House wanting a better contact management program? Help me out, Kelton.
I think it would be helpful.
On its face, and if he's watching, you should say, you're damn right. I want better constituent service contacts, right? The system they have, I guess, doesn't work as well as Dean would like for it to work. Does it work well? I don't know. I mean, have you called a state rep before and asked him to do something? I haven't. But maybe that's what we should do next week, Kelton. We should call my state representative, Cameron Parker, and leave her a message at her office and see how the current system that's free. I usually have a theory about free stuff. It sucks. But we should call Cameron and tell her there is a pothole on the end of M Highway in West Butler County, and then just see how fast it takes to get back to me, right? But or who's your representative?
I think Kathy Steinhaus, my representative.
Oh, I like Kathy. Boy, she did good on the show, didn't she?
She was great.
I like Kathy. You could just tell some people are competent. Like when I first met her in the rotunda running, I was like, okay, this person just got it together, right? I don't even know her votes. I don't know her views, but she's got it together. So the first point of this was they make it look like it's really bad to want this program. Number one, I mean, even Flat Doug probably thinks it's the program constituent contact's a good thing, right? So the funny part is, I do a little research on this. This program is made to look like this terrible group of people. What's it called here? Oh damn it, whatever it's called, focus contact or something, whatever. So it's a program though. So I look fireside. So I look into this Fireside. Do you know who uses Fireside?
I have no idea.
The current winner every year of the Independent's Legislator of the Year, Cori Bush. I assume there's a bust. If the Independent has an office, I bet there's a bust of Cori Bush in it, right? She uses Fireside. You know who else uses Fireside?
Who?
My congressman, Jason Smith, uses Fireside. So if it's that damn bad, why would the socialist icon of the state and the man that represents everybody from farmers and flatlanders to hillbillies, Jason Smith, the people that get elected by the largest margins in the state? So it's not some bullshit program, right? You can make an argument they don't need it. I don't know. So I've known Dana for a long time. Always liked Dana. Always thought she was great. I'll tell you what this looks like. This is just my own white trash hillbilly opinion. Take it for what you will. I've not really known her as well as I did. I kind of knew her a little bit when I worked in the House, and just not well, but would be at the same functions. I've always known her to be really competent, helpful, but I don't know her as I just don't know her as well anymore. You know what I mean? Not anything, nothing happened. I don't run into Dana that often, and so it looks like these emails were written. I mean, listen, here's the truth. You can whatever you want to say, and you're gonna get people say, "Oh, I don't do this." Well, do you not? Everybody has two emails, right? In the government, you have your personal email because you have to have a personal email, right? You can't be doing your banking or you're buying like Kelton likes to buy shoes. You couldn't be out buying high-end sneakers if you worked in the House from his government account. That's just not cool. So he has his own email account. We all have one, and you have your government phone, you have your personal phone, and when people send stuff through their government email, and you're going to see, I'm sure there are the 2% that really don't send anything government through their personal email. But most people in government are a little Hillary Clinton-ish about this. It is that is the rule, not the exception. These emails that were sent feel like there's one of two things she was thinking. One, maybe she thought she had some issues with keeping her position. Now, I personally have seen Dean Plocker keep people on that was just damn shocking to me. I mean, I've seen him keep people on that do things in that office that I'm just like, if you don't get fired for that, there's just a no firing policy here, right? So I would never have thought Dana was in any danger of being replaced as clerk, whether she was pro this program or not. I honestly don't think there's anything I could even conceivably think she would do that would put her job in jeopardy. But here's the thing. I don't know what goes on in that office day to day. Neither do you. So maybe, but boy, it would just shock me on any level if Dana thought her job was in jeopardy. So the other reason you would do this is there's three reasons. One, you're playing Boy Scout, Girl Scout, all above the rules. Every possible government communication is put through my government phone that could be sunshine and my government email. That could be it. And I'm not saying it's not because I don't know. Two, she was laying out a case that she thought might get sunshine and this might happen, therefore making it impossible to fire her. The reason I wonder about that is I mean, I'd never heard anybody really talk about that. So I don't really think, and Dana's not a dumb person on any level. That would surprise me. Or three, she was truly concerned there was something going on. So you put a digital trail down of kind of CYA. So if there's ever any issues that come from this, then, you can then say, look, I was saying this was a bad idea. I've raised concerns. That, it's probably a mix of 2 and 3. You know what I'm saying? And maybe a mix of all three, right? You never know what goes through a person's mind. So Dean suggests using this, right? Dana comes out and says that's not a good use of the money. I'm not for it. Well, Dana, like I would be an expert on drinking Bud Light at High Street Pub, right? Kelton, can you think of a bigger expert about drinking Bud Light at High Street Pub than me?
No, certainly not.
Even if trans people drink it, I still drink it. I feel like if you want an opinion on the temperature of the Bud Light at High Street Pub, I'm a qualified man to ask, right?
Oh, absolutely.
I've worked hard for that designation. I've earned it, frankly. Well, Dana is an expert on what the House does, right? Like, I mean, I don't know what the House does, guns and abortion, but whatever happens as far as the paperwork moving around, she's a qualified expert. I'm sure her opinion did matter. It looked to me like, and then they said the FBI gets involved. Well, here's the thing. Anytime you call the FBI, they'll poke around if it's state government. If you get a government whistleblower, they'll usually poke around because, I mean, they have a whole public corruption office down the street here. It's what they do. The FBI is a strange thing. I don't have sources inside the FBI. I only observe it from afar, and it looks like if they're going to do something, they're going to take their time. They're not going to hurry for anybody, and I have no clue if there's an FBI investigation. And here's the dirty truth: you don't either. Nobody does. I doubt there is. I don't know what it would be. Then they try to throw Barget under. I'm like, no, wait a minute. So I was reading through here because I guess you could just tell Hancock's sources are not Barget people. There's different law firms or different lobbyist firm tribes in town. And the tribe that rats people out to the independent is not a Barget tribe member, apparently. So here's the thing. They try to make any lobbying look bad, which is so funny to me because they're all touting their Missouri Press Association. Let me help you. Missouri Press Association awards are a group of liberals get in a room and they award liberals other liberal awards and they all clap for each other. And then you have to make sure, oh, I haven't won an award in a year. Well, we better give one to this guy. Oh, these people, they wrote a LGBT story. Well, we got to make sure that's praised and lauded. The Press Association has like 8 lobbyists, all fighting. If you ever notice, it's kind of odd when you put quarters in a newspaper machine, you ain't got to pay tax. That's because of all those lobbyists. Actually, when you buy paper for newspaper print, you don't pay sales tax on it because lobbyists. It's a special interest tax cut. It just is. And look, I don't have a problem. You're gonna get tax cut. Good for you, man. But it is what it is. Let's not pretend like there's not lobbyists. So the weird part is they write about lobbyists like they're terrible when they have like 7 of them fighting for their special interest tax cuts. It is the most bullshit thing. I mean, I swear to God, these people should go back to Hearst and Pulitzer, which is what the Independent's doing. I predict you'll see somebody come up with a right. They kind of do. The Herzogs kind of have a right-wing website that does some stuff, not to this level, but it mostly talks about it. Just doesn't like schools, but it's kind of the same type thing. So anyhow, they go in there and dog Barget, and they basically say Barget lobbied effectively for his client. Well, yeah. I mean, I would think if I know the Barget firm, this company probably cut them a legit check for their services because they're not cheap and they do a good job. So, I mean, it was a total The truth is, the Independent probably doesn't have a beef with Barget. It's just any lobbyist that could make, if they tie a lobbyist in, you can make the situation look a little worse. And clearly the sources, the Republican sources to the left-wing organization are not Barget people. They're some other Republican, which everybody in town's a Republican anymore, Kelton. So guess what? Nobody's really a Republican because everybody's a damn Republican anymore. So except for Flat Doug. Doug is a Democrat. Flat Doug's a Democrat. So they had a hearing, and look, I think Dale Wright probably got caught flat-footed here. I don't think anybody should heap crap on Dale. Dale was the accounts chair, whatever. When you say other staff, well, here's the thing. The truth is Dana's very popular amongst the House staff, or feared, because frankly, if you want, there's some things she's in charge of the staff in a way. It's kind of a different setup, but I think generally most people like Dana of the LA group, the Legislative Assistant Group. I think generally if you don't like her, you probably have to go to her for certain things. So there's a little bit of she's the top person. So there's a little bit of respect / fear, which is sometimes the same thing. So if she voices something, they're going to be very predisposed to agree with her. And so I'm not sure you can go find House legislative assistants and ask them on the record about their boss and expect them to come out and say, well, I think the constituent service outreach sucks and this free program sucks and we should get a new one if she says we shouldn't. And there's a hierarchy in every office. So I guess what I'm saying here, end of the day, Dean Plogger's a nice guy, really nice guy. maybe too nice. Um, maybe too nice. I notice he hasn't said anything to defend himself. I think if you're a Capitol person and you've read this, here's the thing: you got to get a hold of that staff. If he doesn't, the same eye rolls that were in the rotunda last year. It's a rough life when you're at the end of your term limits time. John Patterson, I bet you, was in a room somewhere making notes about what to do and not do, kind of keeping an eye on the situation. Three, I don't think Dana. You know, it's not like I have every source in town. I don't think Dana's job was ever in jeopardy at all. I don't think it is now. Didn't think it was before. But there could be something going on that I don't know about. But probably not. Um, Next, I think Dean's going to need to come out and discuss this. But to me, it's a very simple thing. Like number one, if you're going to give the independent quotes, you're going to do their sunshine request for free and all that. If they even do, which I think they do, you treat them like Parson does. That's what you want to. That's where you're at. That's kind of seems like I don't know where Dean's at. I don't think anybody else does because he hasn't said anything. Come out and say what you mean. If that's what you mean, then sure. This story was written to make him look bad. Was it very intentional? And there was a trail of crumbs laid by Dana's emails that clearly mean no favors for Dean Plocker. That's what it looks like to me. And then if they can drag in a lobbying firm, well, sure, why not? Not mentioning that the people that pick up their news have shitloads of lobbyists for their special interest tax cuts. But let's make anytime there's a lobbying firm sound real mean and spooky. And if you fall for that, you're either a left winger that believes everything the Independent says, and you're probably just too stupid to watch this video. And I like plenty of left wingers watch, and I appreciate left wingers watching. I actually have sometimes I'm like, well, they make a lot of sense. But if you're the person that just needs to believe everything bad about a Republican, cool, whatever. But that's not real. Um, so I think this was written to hurt him. Probably did. I would say he's handled it poorly, but I don't know that he's handled it at all. Now I was busy yesterday, and maybe somebody can send me something here that I'm not seeing, but I kind of don't think so. Um, where this goes into how this affects lieutenant governor race, which is what I got. I don't know if it does. I mean, in a lieutenant governor race, one, he didn't do anything wrong that I could see. I mean, he thinks there should be a better constituent contact system. Dana thinks the one they have is fine, and this one would be too expensive. Those are natural things that happen in every office in the world. Kelton may see a camera. I want this new camera. It's going to be great. And I'm like, we don't have the money. And the other one works fine, damn it. And Kelton will be like, no, it's real fuzzy on this angle. And I'm like, shit, dude, that's a lot of money. No, it's too much. And that's a conversation Kelton and I have had before. And I don't see the scandal in it. I do think the emails were salacious and good. If it was Dana, if number two was Dana's thought was I'll box them and they can't fire me, very effective. And number three, was there something going on here? And if it pops, I don't want to catch grief for it. Well, okay. I think that was, if that was a motivation, successfully done. I don't think she'll be fired. I didn't before, and I think the end of this will be a big thing and nothing. Holly Rader's a great politician, but I mean, she's going to be busy. It's not like anybody in Chillicothe who knows who she is. That costs a lot of money. So at a statewide race, you have to get your name out before you can really attack your opponent. And I just, we'll see. I think that if Dean doesn't handle this, my friend Bob Holden, some people would say was too nice to be in politics. And I'm not sure that tag's not going to start sticking on Dean if you're just, if there's not even a response, right? And he may be doing interview right now to respond. I don't know, but we'll see what happens. So that's kind of what that was the big thing that happened around the state. I thought it was very interesting story. I think this is just what happens, right? So the administration committee, I guess, voted no, not to buy it. Okay, I don't see. I see it as a story. I see Dana's emails as a very salacious piece, and I see somebody tipped him off to sunshine him. And this was a coordinated thing for sure. Now, how coordinated, nobody will probably ever know. But there's different tribes in this town, and one tribe is making a move on another tribe, and that's kind of what's happened here. Now, it just depends on the other tribe just going to sit back and do nothing, which that might be the move. I mean, if you're running statewide, maybe you just say, look, let the House run it, and I'm going to be campaigning in West Plains, and I'm busy. So there's a lot of factors. We'll see what happens. Mizzou, how about Mizzou again? Big game against Memphis. I mean, I'm telling you, ranked Mizzou, Truman, you're ranked, dude. High five, buddy. Yeah, I like that. Ranked Mizzou is on the road. Was they at Vandy this week?
They played Memphis and St. Louis.
But I think this week they got Vandy.
They have Vandy on Saturday.
Okay, so they're too smart to play football. That should be 5-0, dude. 5-0. So here's the thing. I love to go to these bowl games. I love a Mizzou bowl game. I like to go to a place and have a reason to go. And I just, and if you're around Troy, that energy, and you got Dusty, that's just great to be around. I actually like a Mizzou, but I can't go to the 23rd, right? Because the 23rd, like you don't want to have to fly back that night because that sucks because you can't really enjoy the game and everything around it. Then the next day is Christmas Eve. What if your plane gets delayed or the flight gets canceled? Then you're not home at Christmas. And so the 23rd is a terrible day for a bowl game. And that's where they've been the last couple of years. So hopefully we can get like the 27th. Even if you go earlier, I would go to a bowl game the 22nd, especially if it was one where my flight was delayed on the 23rd. I just rent a car and drive, right? Then I would be in. So, I mean, good for Mizzou, though. I mean, Troy, it's so funny. You can work your ass off behind the scenes, and there ain't nothing like a winning football program, man. You can do so many. Troy has done so many things right that have nothing to do with football. But, man, when that football team's good, you can do a lot of things wrong, and nobody gives a damn. So, I'm excited. I'm actually going to try. I don't know if I'll make the LSU game, but I'm going to try to go. I think there's a Tennessee game, and I don't like the song Rocky Top personally. So, and I don't even like Orange. So hopefully I'll be able to go to one of those. It'll be fun. By the way, my buddy Rich, look at this. The 1926 World Championship game. Grover Cleveland Alexander, Roger Hornsby. Look at that. Chet Haynes. I mean, back in 26, the Boomy used to win games before we hired Marmol. Stein of knowledge pull here. Thank you, pal. Then my man Chris sent this to me. This is a book about the governor's mansions of the Midwest. And what I love is the pictures on the cover. I think might even be one from Missouri. It's a terrific book. Thank you so much. We'll end with Lauren Boebert. I talked to my buddy Brandon Rather on the radio about this. Okay, Kelton. So she goes to Beetlejuice, right? And she some things pop up. She takes a few vape hits and then begins to give some encouragement to her date.
You could definitely phrase it that way.
I'll just say this. People can judge if they want to, but I think if someone said, hey, let's go to a play, Les Mis is great, but I'm not sure I'd be in to go to a play. So I kind of think what she may be doing is inspiring more people to take up the arts. I really think that, I think Kelton, she's putting her whole self behind the promotion of the arts, and I find no fault in her for that. What do you think?
I think if that's her goal, she's been very successful.
Yeah, if you're at the play Beetlejuice, right? I'm just gonna say Beetlejuice isn't the play like Pretty Woman went to with the monocle things or whatever and the little playbill. I have to think Beetlejuice is maybe not. First of all, when you're playing Denver, probably not got Michael Keaton reprising his role as Beetlejuice, and then you're Beetlejuice, which it's not exactly like Les Mis, right? And so I think probably if you're that play, has anything better ever happened to you in the history of your play career? People have to be lining up to get into Beetlejuice now, hoping they can sit by her. Hopefully, like right to her right? If you could pick it, if you see like the screen comes up, if you could pick where you were sitting in the theater and one star had like a Congress thing on it, you'd want the seat to her right. You know what I'm saying?
That would be
unless she's left-handed, I guess. But well, I'll just assume right because most people are right-handed, right?
That'd probably be a good guess.
Yeah. Well, anyhow, if I tell you what, that seat could go for a ton of money at the Beetlejuice play. If they could pay her like $3,000 to show up again, the place is packed, right? Everybody's gonna be watching. The lights don't have to be on the stage. Those stage lights can stay down. Everybody's gonna want to see her, and then you auction off the seat next to her right for like, what? $8-9 grand, right?
I mean, you just keep going up.
My buddy Mike Kelly from St. Louis, I guarantee he'd be all in on that auction. He'd walk in there like the cat that ate the canary. All right, we are big Show Me Missouri this week. We're going to sit down and talk about the part one, the life and career of Judge Mary Rose Russell, the Chief Justice of the Missouri Supreme Court. Betsy Ledgerwood Aubuchon, Oregon County's own, will be there. Her family hosted the Beatles after the Ed Sullivan Show in Oregon County. How cool. We're going to talk about that. Then we're going to talk about the court plan and some of the machinations around it. Show Missouri is going to drop Thursday, Kelton, right?
Thursday's the
We're
plan.
going to tape it this afternoon. So in the next couple hours, if you happen to come on to a question that would be good, you have to realize a lot of questions you can't ask because when you're a judge, there's a lot of things you can't talk about. But I'm going to ask her about I'm going to ask her what I can. So if you have a question, send it to me. If it just is something that she can't do, then I get it, no problem. I won't hold you to it. I'll just be honest with you and tell you that's not something a judge can talk about publicly. Also, had a great time talking to my friends at the Jackson County Republican Club. They gave me this unapologetically Republican shirt. Sometimes I am apologetic for being a Republican, but a lot of times no. When I get gas right now, Kelton, you know what I am when I get gas right now? Every time.
What are you?
I am unapologetically Republican. The gas pump, look, Joe, I'm actually not your biggest detractor. But damn it, man, drill for some oil. Like, seriously, dude, you got to knock this electric bullcrap off. Drill for some oil. Jesus. It's like if Sylvie was president. Actually, if Sylvie was president, we'd probably have taken over half the Middle East, and gas would be $0.25 a gallon. I'll leave you with that, folks. Thank you so much on the show. I think we have an ag show on Sunday. I'll confirm that. Just keep us social media. And if you have a question that we can send to Judge Russell, I'm really excited. I'm very grateful that she's willing to sit down, kind of like we did with Matt, and discuss her career. Thank you so much, and we will see you Sunday for This Week in Missouri.